Megan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. This reading vlog very exciting for a few reasons. One, I'm a little sick. That's not exciting, but it is true. Two, I'm picking up one of my most anticipated reads for the entire year, so I'm really hoping it's gonna suck me in, I'm gonna love it. And three, we're gonna put up a Christmas tree this week, though that does mean Matilda's chair is gonna go into another location temporarily. But without further ado, let's chat about the book I hope to read. So the main book that's on my TBR for this video is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. This is the second book to the Hierarchy series, the first one being The Will of the Many, which came out a couple years ago. I read it then, I really enjoyed it. I have been really looking forward to reading this book and, shooting a reading vlog finally. This book is long, 700 pages. But I have faith that one, I'm going to be able to fly through it because the series is very plot forward and the first one was so good. Two, I have nothing else to do because again, I have a cold, so might as well read this. Three, I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this book because I know so many of y'all are reading this now. So I thought it'd be fun that we could all read it together. So there's that. But yes, welcome to the start of this vlog. We're going to be reading this very intense Roman-inspired fantasy series together. And hopefully it's going to deliver on that plot because I have very high expectations. And sometimes that leads to disappointment. Oh, also, I haven't put my Christmas tree up yet, but I did do this paper garland. Look how cute. Ignore how much of a disaster my dining room is. That's not the point. The paper garland is the point. Isn't it so cute? Also cute, of course, is Matilda. But it is approaching the evening. My energy levels are quite low, so I'm going to change out of real clothes and put on something cute, something very comfortable, and settle in for a cozy evening that we are going to spend together. So let's do that. I desire to lounge, and I cannot do it whilst the couch looks like this. So let's get it nice and organized. For dinner, I am just heating up some broth I made yesterday. It's kind of like a very non-traditional miso ramen situation. So I have noodles. I made like a tofu chasu situation as well. And for toppings, I just have some soft-boiled eggs, green onions, rolls, obviously. I don't know, ramen sounded so good because I've been sick, so we're heating it up. And dinner is served. Let's go watch a K-drama. Alrighty friends, it's time to get serious. Start this book. I will see y'all in the morning. Good morning. Let's do a reading sprint and then I'll do a reading update. Gloomy over the next few days. I think we're getting a lot of rain. To be determined though. But let's do a reading update of The Strength of the Few. I've read just about 100 pages of this book and good starting news, I'm really into it immediately. Structurally, plot-wise, writing style. In some ways I almost feel like it has pulled me in quicker than the first one, which feels really impressive given how plot forward and intoxicating The Will of the Many was. To take a step back though, let's talk a little bit about The Will of the Many because Transparently, before I started this book, I definitely consumed multiple recaps. My memory on the plot of that story and like the explosive ending was a little bit murky, and I'm really glad I did do a recap because the starting point of book 2 is literally immediately after the end of book 1. It just sort of throws you into the story. So if you're thinking about if you need to do a recap or not, do a recap. It'll be super, super helpful. But this is a Roman-inspired fantasy story, and we're introduced to our main character, Viz. This story takes place in an empire that is, again, inspired off of the Roman Empire, and everything is about order and hierarchy. In fact, their magic system is based on this hierarchy. Everyone in this world has will, and they're forced to give it over to the empire, and that will quite literally translates into, like, magic. And the higher you are up in this hierarchy, in this society, the more will or power you have access to. Our main character, Viz, is actually like the lost prince of a recently taken over like empire, and he will do anything in his power to not give over his will to the empire. But Viz's life gets a little bit difficult because at the beginning of the story, he's basically recognized by a powerful individual in one of the government factions. The government basically has different power groups. One is military, one is religion, and one is government, I want to say. Anyway, this individual is from the military arm, and he is trying to find out information on his missing brother. So he recruits Viz to basically be his spy to attend this very prestigious academy that's run by the religious group in the government, if you will. And Viz is supposed to be his eyes and ears and also try to unlock the secrets of this place, what religion is doing, and also, again, what happened to this man's brother. So Viz is in training. Viz is also trying to keep his identity secret. He's also now entering this military academy, which is super dangerous, very competitive, all of these things. On top of his one spying job, he gets a second spying job from a rebel faction that also is trying to blackmail him to give them information. Viz's life is chaotic. He makes friends, he makes enemies. The academy setting of book 1 is super entertaining. We learn about the magic system, we learn about the world through education. There's also a competition element and just like all sorts of things. The ending of book 1 was bananas, and it absolutely broke open the entire world of this story and literally leaves us on like a net new path in terms of like what could happen next. And that is where I'm at in terms of consuming this. And I love the writing structure of this book. We essentially have like 3 distinct stories going on, and it is so smart. It is so smart, and it's so effective in terms of how the author wants to relay this information, build this story, and sort of recreate the tension and mystery of this world. And it also allows us to like build up our main character, obviously, but have very like distinct locations, character movements, and just like all different types of things happen at the same time. And that's kind of like all I'll say. Viz is still very much anchoring the story. There has been a stylistic decision to make us be able to experience 3 distinct stories at once within this book, and it has honestly blown my mind. Like, I am fascinated, drawn in by each of these storylines. They're also so different from each other, and every time we're in one of the stories, we get like 3 or 4 chapters before we flip to the next one. So there's all these mini cliffhangers so far, and I just have so many questions, and I love having questions in fantasy worlds. I love being confused, I love being perplexed, I love being like, what? And it's just such a smart structural choice. And I'm so into this. I'm so into this. Like, I'll probably talk more about like the politics, the magic in the world, and the conflict, but so far, and just the intro points of this story, hooked, man. Absolutely hooked. There's that. I've read 100 pages. I'm definitely gonna read more today. I have quite a bit to do, and I want to do some picking up around here. But then we read more, and also watch more of my K-drama. I'm rewatching Business Proposal, which I've technically seen most of before, but I don't think I was really paying attention because I restarted it. Either I forgot everything or like I wasn't paying attention. And either of those things could be the answer, and I just will never know. But I'm rewatching it right now, and I'm really liking it. Now I'm just rambling. So there's that. Okay, I have just been working, and for some reason, I like to work at the dining room table instead of a desk because it's way worse for my back, and I guess I like that. But I got 2 exciting packages in the mail, and that is scarves. I got Matilda a scarf and I got me a scarf, and they're accidentally kind of matching, which I couldn't be more excited about. So I'll start with my scarf, which I got from Madewell. I don't know if anyone else has seen these, but there's like this knit bandana trend. It's giving Boy Scout, but I kind of like it. So like, okay. Like, right? Okay. Knit scarf. I feel like I'm in a Wes Anderson movie. But, knit scarf, cute. Made all the better though, I also got Matilda a knit bandana, but hers is Christmas. Let's go put this on her. Literally right now. You look very pretty, Matilda. So pretty, so festive, so perfect. Made some lasagna soup for dinner, which is one of my recent favorite like cold weather recipes. It comes together so fast and it makes so much. Hello, I don't have too much new to report except that I have passed the 200-page mark, and I'm just gonna regurgitate a lot of the things I've said, but very quickly, and mostly it's just that I'm really liking this book right now. I feel like this is the most engaging start to a fantasy read I've had in a minute. Particularly for a book too, I feel like how the author is pacing things out and choosing to expand the plot book over book is super satisfying, and it definitely doesn't feel like a holdover book to like a concluding novel at this point. Obviously, I have the majority of this book left, so I'm gonna keep reading, but I just wanted to check in for a moment to let you know that I've read another 100 pages and we're making progress. I am also prepping to decorate my Christmas tree, but I have to go to the store and buy more Christmas lights. I lost my Christmas lights. It's a real mystery in this household, so I have to get more, and then we're gonna do that tomorrow. I have it slotted in my calendar, Saturday morning, Christmas tree time. But anyway, I've read another 100 pages. I might read more tonight a little bit. Definitely read more tomorrow. I want to pick up the pace a little bit, which I definitely feel like I'm going to be able to clock in to finish this book, you know? That's what I'm determined to do. So we're going to do it together.
Clay made coffee.
Clay made coffee. Alrighty, I've acquired lights. I prefer incandescent lights, and I also do not have a pre-lit tree. I just feel like I have a fake tree, and I'm always paranoid that if I got a pre-lit tree then it could possibly burn out. I never have to worry about that because I could just replace the lights, but I got incandescent. Let's go set up the tree. Obviously, this is the corner it's going in. I've already cleared out the chair, so let's get you on a tripod and get working. is complete. I am so jazzed. I also love to do a combination of like fun ornaments and just some like classic baubles, if you will. This is maybe one of my favorite angles in the whole house. Literally obsessed. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. Also, I have done some decent progress on my book today, and I plan to read more, and I do plan to read more this evening, but I've gotten a little distracted by college football, I fear. Would you believe it if we had the most incredible gloomy day today, but the sun just came out, which is fine because that's honestly quite pretty too. But I wanted to do a reading update before I head out to go see Wicked 2, which I'm excited about. But I have been reading. I have passed the 400 page mark of this book, which puts me at just over the halfway point. I have about 300 pages left. The plot has been plotting the whole time. I feel like this is even stronger than the first book so far. What I mean by that too is that I just feel like I've been locked in and engaged in the story almost from the get-go, but given we are now passing the 50% mark of the plot, things are still definitely somehow escalating and becoming even more intense and interesting than all of the crazy intense and interesting stuff that's been happening the entire time, which I just think is impressive. And again, I think it also all goes back to the storytelling structure decision. It's so smart and interesting, and I think I'm just like so obsessed with it. So every time we get to follow one of these distinct stories, I am just hooked from the onset. It's allowed this book to feel so fresh because we're introduced to so many different locations, characters. We also even get to explore our main character, Viz, in some unique ways too. This idea of like, you know, environment, nature versus nurture, let's say. What's so interesting is I actually feel like this book has been primarily world building, but the world building is so interesting that at no point is it boring. Like, so much of book one is introducing us to Viz and the concept of this world, but it's like kind of an isolated story of Viz at school and kind of getting involved in politics. Book two is breaking open those politics and quite literally the world so we can understand the grand nature of all of these different powerful political figures, but also how the magic system works, how kind of the origin story of this world, and also kind of a larger plot and danger that's kind of at the core of the story all along. So a lot of book two is like building up characters and putting them in situations so they can eventually take on, you know, like the grand plot movement that's going to happen later. But all of this information, all of this discovery, all of this learning is so interesting in this. I'm honestly just like so impressed by the concept and how the author is relaying the information to us that I'm hooked. And I know I'm being so vague, and I'm being vague on purpose, but just know the magic system, cool. Characters, likable. Politics, also interesting. But there's like another thing happening that I don't want to say directly. That's also the best part, okay? It's the best part. And there's so much I want to say about, you know, which part of that is my favorite. And it's hard for me to even decide. You know what I mean? Hard for me to even decide. But it's such an interesting character study of Viz. I'll just say that. But I'm really liking this book a lot. And I really want to like hunker down, get to reading. I think my illness sort of slowed down my page pacing, and obviously I'm doing a reading challenge. I'm trying to catch up a bit before the end of the year. I think I've given up on me being able to catch my reading goal, but there's definitely still quite a few books I'm hoping to get to before 2026. So I'm trying to like increase my volume a bit. So I'm trying to like bring that mental clarity with me, especially because I'm liking this book so much. So we're gonna increase the pace, the intensity a bit, wrap this book up hopefully in the next couple days. But like, honestly, I only have positive things to say from the outset. Like, it has been really good from the beginning. What more could you honestly ask for, you know?
Wow. Look, I think they do every 12.
Big moment of the season because I'm making my first homemade hot chocolate of the holiday season. Milk, whipped cream. Clay, can you give me the chocolate chips out of the baking cabinet?
Yeah.
Thank you. Brown sugar, some good vanilla, and the they're behind the powdered sugar. And chocolate chips, hot chocolate. Step 1 is I just simmer milk, brown sugar, and vanilla together until it gets to like a simmer, as I said. And then I just melt in the chocolate and we're done. I have my mugs ready over here. We have whipped cream. It's gonna be amazing. First homemade hot chocolate of the holiday season. And I'm gonna sit down now and read a little bit of The Strength of the Few. Perfect. Dinner is a Mediterranean bowl, which Clay and I are so into making regularly. Obsessed with this morning view. Good morning, everyone. I have been committed to reading. I am determined to finish this book by tomorrow, and look at this incredible progress. I luckily am having no trouble reading it because it's very entertaining, and there's been some reveals that have left me jaw agape. I will say there's some things I feel like took me so long to notice. And I felt kind of dumb. I was like, wait a second, which I like. It's so interesting because there's an element of like distinctness in the plot elements happening here. So I personally have a favorite, and I'm curious if it's other people's favorite because it's like the least plot oriented, but my favorite storyline is the more character oriented one. The training and like the farming characters that we're sort of introduced to. I like all the storylines, but that one, I don't know, has made me like especially intrigued. But just under 200 pages left. Things are really getting pretty bananas in terms of like the plot is heating up in terms of like actual action. I also feel like I'm gleaning more and more information than ever before, and it's also just interesting, similar to the first book. There's lots of different powerful actors moving things along, and Viz is an important piece to like a lot of different people's plans, but he's also a wild card because he himself is like incredibly capable, so he can like alter the path, but also just trying to like understand these other actors' motivations and like, are they good? Are they bad? Why are they doing these things? Is also like pretty dang interesting and like helping add to the mystique and understanding of this story as well. But yes, progress is being made. My vague recollections of this book are continuing, but just know, very, very good. Very, very good. Honestly, I think stronger than book 1. Hardest part about this book is all these Roman names. You know, I'm like, who are you? And then I have, luckily there is a character glossary at the back where I'm like, oh yeah, you're this person. But these Roman names get me every time. Clay and I have started a new tradition this year, and that is the purchasing of a snacking pie. That's what we're calling it. We bought pies for our family for later this week for the holiday, but we also just bought ourselves our own pie that we could eat every day. And I'm gonna cut myself a slice to enjoy now. And I thought while I did that, I'd also tell you my thoughts about Wicked 2. So I feel like Wicked is getting kind of like mixed reception for the second installment. And I think because I already knew I didn't like the second act as much as the first act, I went in with kind of like middle expectations. And for the most part, I was pretty entertained. Like, I wouldn't say it was perfect, but I don't know. I had a good time. No major complaints on my end. My pie doesn't have enough pecans. I would recommend it, especially if you like Wicked. Like, if you don't like musicals, you probably won't like it. The music is not as strong in Act 2 as in Act 1. And like, maybe it could have been one movie. I don't know. Who's to say? Not me. I do know that I love pecan pie. And I'm gonna heat this up and eat it and go read some more Strength of the Few. But overall, fun day. Fun day. Matilda's being very cute. And I'm gonna sit down now and try to finish the Strength of the Few. Obviously, I don't have much left. Wish me luck. It's literally so crazy what's happening right now. So yes, finishing this book. I've actually already been reading this morning. The level of intensity, this like last sequence I'm in right now, truly bananas. And what's also crazy is this book has been intense from the get-go. I mean, everything has felt life and death, dangerous, urgent from page 1
So to increase that feeling of intensity in this final sequence, bananas. I feel like I truly cannot catch my breath. Like I can't even process like the emotional intensity of what's happening because we're just like moving, 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 moving. And that's like the same for the characters. Like, traumatizing things left, right, and front and center, but like they have to like keep moving or like more terrible things could happen. And it is so overwhelming. But like obviously intentionally overwhelming. Biz is really going through it. This whole book, to be honest. Would not want to be Biz. Would not. Truly crazy. Also, there's like so much happening. I almost feel like I need to like reread a bunch of stuff just to make sure I'm even like catching everything, because there's reveal after reveal after reveal, and it doesn't feel cheap. I feel like sometimes there's a tricky balance that needs to be achieved when you have a lot of plot and a lot of intensity. You can't just do twists for the sake of twists. Like, you still need to maintain the stakes of the story and the emotional core and integrity of the story, so you feel like you actually care when those twists happen or when the danger occurs. And I do feel like the author is successfully walking that line where I feel emotionally invested in Viz, our main character, but also the side characters that we know from book one, new characters introduced within this story. He's allowed for good emotional beats to happen, moments of slowness. So when these like heightened moments of intensity happen, you're anxious, not just because like what's happening is crazy, but also for the characters and their safety. And I just feel like he's playing that off very, very well, making like the whole final plot movement like very emotionally impactful on all fronts. But this is crazy what has happened. What I've been reading and like what is to come, I can't even imagine. It's so bananas, like what's happening. And I've no idea how this book is gonna end. I don't know where the heck this book is going. I feel like this book is like pick me up, throw me on its back, and it's just been sprinting for like hundreds of pages, and I'm just along for the ride. We'll see where it takes me, and we'll see if I survive the ending, which is currently to be determined. I finished The Strength of the Few, all 707 pages, I want to say, plus the glossary. And I was definitely reading the glossary. And I have to say, I really, 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 really enjoyed this. I was very impressed, both as a second installment of a trilogy. I feel like it didn't fall into any of the trappings of a second book slump. I felt like it really expanded, built on the world, answered a lot of questions, but ultimately opened up more doors for us to continue to theorize and have many more questions in terms of how this whole thing is going to wrap up. I've given a lot of praise to the plot structure of the story, and for me, that was definitely the strength. It just created such fascinating scenarios that supported and made all other aspects of the story more interesting. This is definitely a book I'm gonna need some time to think about and digest, not just because there was truly so much thrown at me plot-wise throughout the entire thing, but it is like not hard to follow in the way that it's like convoluted, but there's just a lot of details and just like a lot of discovery that I feel like I need to digest it, think about it, and also begin to unpack like what we've learned in the second installment and what that could mean for the third installment that is coming up. The strength of the series for me, especially with book 2, is very much the world. It's clear the author has put a lot of time and care building up the concepts, the setting, how he wanted the plot to unfold and sort of bring us from book 1 to book 2. It is truly such an interesting experience no matter where you are within this book. I was curious about learning about the environment and the characters that I was placed in. It was just such a fascinating reading experience through and through. I feel like the structure of the story just really lent an originality and just an intensity and an intrigue throughout the entire thing that I really, really appreciated. But as much as this book was about the world building and the plot, which there was so much of, I also felt like there was some super interesting character moments and character studies, but they specific focus on love, loss, friendship, loyalty, grief, the dissonance between does a good end justify the means, or if a good person does a bad thing, are they still a good person? These are definitely very large questions that are asked in lots of different environments, we shall say. As a character study of Viz, this was incredible. We really got to spend not just a lot of time with our main character, but a lot of time with our main character in various situations that felt super unique to him. And I think that made me feel closer than ever to him as our main POV, and I really appreciated that. Aside from really anchoring the book with Viz, I also felt like we got some wonderful side characters as well that had their own unique character arcs that were not just fitting to the plot, but also fitting to the environment, and also really locked in with Viz's main character as well. They were very complementary of each other, which I appreciated. Plot of the story is definitely not straightforward, and I will say definitely at times I found myself a little bit confused or needing to go back to reread things or trying to decipher if I'm supposed to fully understand like what's been revealed to me, or if I'm still supposed to have questions about how this sort of slots into like the overarching story, if that makes sense. I will say, I personally don't mind that. I would rather the plot be complex with lots of different moving parts than simplified, so I can just like easily digest it on a first read. And in a lot of ways, the wait for the third book is going to be absolutely agonizing, but it will give me an opportunity to reread books 1 and 2, which I think will be very beneficial to me as a reader, so I can kind of more easily follow a lot of the plot reveals as they come, and I will definitely be doing that before the third installment. Another plot twist is I actually like the new cover designs more than the old ones. I think having the context of now the first 2 books really makes me deeply appreciate the change in direction with these in a way that I just wouldn't have understood before. And so now that I have it and I've thought about it, I want to get the dust jacket of the other one so they can match. And I'm really excited to see the reveal of the third book whenever they decide to do that. This was just a very successful combination of plot, fascinating world, great intricate world building, really interesting storytelling like structure in terms of how he put this book together, great characters, and just like it was immensely successful at the end of the day. I honestly would give this 5 out of 5 stars. This series is proving to be getting better with each book, which I think is a hard one to follow up with. It's just very clearly something that this author has thought a lot about, and you can see that work pay off within this book. And I really liked it, is what I'll say. If you guys have read this book, please let me know your thoughts down below, because I'm so curious. I feel like, again, I still have a lot to unpack as it relates to like the plot, story, characters, reveals, and things. I'm like, there's just a lot I know that I don't fully have like locked in my brain, you know what I mean? But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye.